In last week's video, I talked about why you shouldn't drive for food delivery apps. This week, I'm doing the exact opposite video. We're going to discuss why you should drive for them and the perks that come with it. What's going on, everybody? I'm Zach Drives Fast for the Rideshare Guy. And in this video, we're going to highlight some of the things that make doing gig work such a great opportunity. I'm sure you've heard this advice at least one time in your life. If you have a tough decision to make a list of pros and cons. This is the second video in a two-part series. Last week's videos were the cons. This week's video, the pros. I'd like to take a moment to compare 1099 work to W-2 jobs. With a W-2 job, even if you can work overtime, there's typically a ceiling. That is not the case for gig work. I want to give you an example of something that happened to me over this last summer. I had just gotten done shopping a large grocery order, and I was on my way to the customer when I had a tire blow up. Very long story short, I ended up needing to replace 2 tires instead of 1. Not to mention, I missed out on about 3 days worth of driving. Even if a W-2 job allows you to work overtime, you're still at the whim of your paydays. That's not the case with gig work. With the cost of the 2 tires that I had to replace and the amount of money that I was out by not driving Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, I had to make up about $500 in less than a month. And you know what? I was able to turn on my apps and accept a few more orders and accomplish it. You can work as many hours as you want or as little as you choose. There's rarely a ceiling with gig work. If you have an unexpected bill, just drive a few extra hours a week. Now, the next perk on our list is hands down my favorite, and maybe it is for you too. There are no bosses when it comes to doing gig work. Let's face it, in the W-2 world, there are just some bosses that you will never please. With gig work, you don't have a boss breathing down your neck, you don't have any deadlines, and you're definitely not going to get a call to come in on your day off. You are your own boss. You only answer to yourself. You are never going to get a phone call when you're at a family barbecue asking you to work overtime. Moving on to the third thing on my list. You get to make your own hours. Are you a morning person or a night person? Personally, I've always been a bit of a night owl, but I'm also a single parent, so I've had to drive early in the morning and late at night. With gig work, you set your own schedule and you never need approval to change your shift, to cancel for a day, or to come in when you weren't supposed to work. I mean, think about it. Let's say you have a kid. If they get sick or have an appointment, you don't have to worry about it. You can be there at every school function, every sporting event, and every birthday party. And you need not worry about pissing off a boss. If all that wasn't good enough, you'll never have vacation time denied again. Can you tell that this is my favorite perk of doing gig work? In my last video, I talked about the possibility of gig workers not having much of a work-life balance. In this video, I'm going to completely contradict myself. While it is true that gig workers can choose not to have a work-life balance, we also can choose to have that balance. It entirely falls on us how much we're working. You get to prioritize what is important to you and plan accordingly. Let's move on to the fourth item on our list. There's no dress code. As some of you may have noticed in previous videos, I'm a heathen and have a bunch of tattoos. I was a dealer in a casino for years, and while they did have a dress code, they had a stricter dress code if you had tattoos. This specific casino had a different uniform for different days of the week, and on the weekends, those uniforms would have short sleeve shirts. Unless you have tattoos. Here's the problem. On the weekend, that casino could regularly get up into the low 80s indoors. You try dealing craps for 10 hours a night, sweating your ass off in 80-degree weather wearing a long shirt. But that was the dress code, and if you had tattoos, you were going to swelter your ass off. After all, I'd hate to offend the clientele. God forbid they found out that there was drinking and gambling going on there. Anyway, the experience left a bad taste in my mouth, and from that point on, I never wanted to wear a uniform again. As a gig worker, you can wear anything that you want to wear. Not that you should, but you can. Remember the part about no boss breathing down your neck? Gig workers never have to worry about doing that late night Sunday load of laundry, so they have their work uniform clean and ready to go for Monday. Not to mention, you'll save a few bucks because you'll never have to buy any kind of special clothes for work. The fifth thing on our list is you get to create your own work atmosphere. You'll never get stuck in some stuffy cubicle next to Stanley's stink-ass that swears that his natural deodorant is just as effective as the real stuff. You can blast your favorite song as loud as you want without Karen complaining about it. How about that motivational podcast that helps you get through your days? Nobody's going to have an issue with it. Furthermore, you never have to worry about your audiobooks disrupting your coworkers. Do you want to learn a new language? This might be the perfect time to do it. Download an app and get to learning. Matter of fact, I know about 75 phrases in about 6 languages thanks to doing gig work. You get to take your breaks when you choose to, and go home when you want. I love the fact that I don't have to fake sick anymore when I just want to go home. And don't get me started on the thermostat. I no longer have anybody complaining that 80 degrees in the office is too hot. Keep in mind, I'm not wearing long sleeves. I want you to take a moment and just appreciate the fact that you'll never have to argue with somebody over the temperature again. Alright guys, we've made it to the last item on the list. No office politics. This one is pretty self-explanatory. You'll never have to worry about offending anybody who's easily worked up over goofy shit. There's nobody around to get into your business and start asking personal questions. You'll never have to schmooze a boss or a potential client because there's no such thing as promotions. You no longer have to pretend like you're listening at a million boring meetings. You'll also never get cornered by the office's overzealous parent trying to peddle Girl Scout cookies. No more obligatory get-togethers or parties that may not be your scene. While it is true that gig workers tend to eat a lot more fast food than non-gig workers, there is one upside. You'll never have to worry about the office fridge pirate again. These are just a few of the things that make doing gig work such a great opportunity. If I left something out, please do let me know in the comment section below. In your opinion, what's the best thing about doing gig work? If you haven't done so yet, please do consider pressing the like button and subscribing to the Rideshare Guy. If you enjoyed this video, you may also enjoy this video where I talk about why you shouldn't do food delivery. I'm Zach Drives Fast for the Rideshare Guy. Take care.